Sure. My name's Meghan Efland. I'm a Chestertown resident running for mayor. I've lived in the community. I lived outside of Churchill my whole life. I went to Queen Anne's County Public Schools. I have a degree in sociology and anthropology from St. Mary's College. I moved away briefly, came back to the area, lived in Kingstown. And about 11 years ago, my husband and I bought a house in town. And that's the first time I've actually been a true resident of Chestertown, even though it's been really the community that I've connected with through my whole life. I work at Paul Reed Smith Guitars, which is a guitar manufacturer on Kent Island. And I'm the director of supply chain, which has been a very challenging role with all the recent things going on. But I manage a team of people. We've got the warehouse, so shipping and receiving, logistics, transportation contracts. We do all the scheduling for our factory. We also do all of the scheduling for 2 OEM manufacturers that we work with overseas. We source our components, so a big thing, we're known for our quality. We really don't use any off-the-shelf parts. They're all custom designed. So my team is working with vendors domestically and overseas to meet the right quality standard, the right price point to make us competitive in the market. And we do all the purchasing contracts for things related to products and also facilities maintenance. So very familiar with building systems and things like that, and also, very relevant with things going on in the town. Yeah. Yep. So I'm on my second term as the Ward 4 council representative. And if you think of the wards, that's the northeast quadrant of town. It includes the hospital. It includes the college, YMCA, Dixon Valve Complex, and going out that way. Doesn't include Heron Point. I ran unopposed both times. I really wanted to get more involved in town and understanding how it works. And I also wanted to see a representative that was under the age of 50 on the council. We have a lot of families in town, even though, some people choose to not think that that's a thing. And I just think it's important to have somebody who's a full-time employee that's living a middle-class life be a representative. Yeah, I think whatever industry you're in, whether it's municipal government or working for a manufacturing facility, there's a lot of shared traits that you end up seeing. And we all want to make ourselves so unique, but when it comes down to it, there's cash in and cash out. There's expenses that happen regularly, and then there's capital projects that need to happen that take long-term planning. And the same thing, like when I started working at PRS Guitars, we had about 50 employees, and now we're almost 10 times that size. So there's been a lot of growth there. We've had a lot of struggles over the years too, the housing market crash and things like that. So I think my experience with that is we do sort of a good, better, best plan. And I think it's the same way with the town. You look at the budget and you think about what would be maybe not your best year. And we call that good, just trying to still stay positive. And then your better plan where maybe there's a little bit more cash flow into the town. And then best, when there are state and federal programs, a lot of grant money that's available where you're ready to access that funds by having good plans in place that allow you to proceed with those. So I think there's still a big communication issue. We are talking about a new middle school, and when you talk to people, there's a good chunk of the population that don't know that that's even going on. I just think that we need to figure it out. We have so many different platforms for communication. We have a lot of different age groups that are accessing that information in different ways. And we need to be thinking about all the different demographics and the way that they're hearing that. So I think that that's a big issue. I also think deferred maintenance in the town, the road systems and things like that. We've been really fortunate to have, we have a very state-of-the-art water and sewer system. But then we also have a lot of issues with aging pipes and things that are under the road structure. And that sort of has just been passed down the way. And there are state funds that are available. It's not a full grant, but it's low interest rate. And we've got to start picking away at those, planning ahead, and figuring out how do we afford to do that. And then doing it in a way where everybody in town sees the impact of it. It's not just on one street or one neighborhood. I think you do have some control over it. I think a big thing is right now we're going through the comprehensive plan, or the planning commission is. We have a strategic plan, a 10-year strategic plan, but it doesn't get pulled out enough and reviewed. And then I also think that getting the planning commission, the historic district commission, the town, and other groups that are impacted together to review that strategic plan and really understand what are the goals of the town so that we're working in unison with the public. Um, Recently, the area on Morg Neck Road was allocated for solar, and I'm a fan of solar, I believe in it, but that was also the strategic place for the town to annex and expand. So now we're limited to a couple of different corridors for expansion. So we really need to think about the property that's within the municipal town, how it's zoned, and using it as effectively as possible. And to me, I do think we need some more dense housing. We need different types of housing, workforce, low income, and even higher price point. It's not. We need every sort of style of housing. I was part of the college strategic planning sessions a couple years ago, and talking with the faculty. Most of the faculty don't live here, even at their salary range, cannot afford a house in town. And then you think about the staff there, the janitorial staff, kitchen staff, things like that. They're all coming from far distances, and that's just like one example. And then you look at our employers, and if you talk to Dixon Valve, they're hiring from people. A lot of them are coming from Middletown. So we just don't have the available housing that we need to have. And I also think some mixed use zoning would be great, where you do commercial building and then have apartments or townhouses above. We see that in neighboring counties, and it's been really successful. But I do think looking at what we have in available lands and making sure it's zoned appropriately, and thinking about what taxes are available and income from that property is really, really critical with trying to dig into some of these deferred maintenance and longer term capital projects. Well, I think that that's part of it. I mean, the Walgreens, the corner across from Walgreens, there was a buyer interested in that, and we needed to change the zoning for that to move forward. We've done a little bit of zoning changes around the YMCA for people that want to use that property for different use. Jamie Williams with Economic Development is very active in trying to attract builders and businesses and things like that. I do think that there's been success here. The neighborhood, if you go past the townhouses by the YMCA, D.H. Horton bought that from another developer. They changed the price point of the houses, and they all sold through very, very quickly. So I think it's also very price point driven. And then Historic District for downtown, there's not a lot of available space, but they also have a big impact on what can be built and what regulations are related to it. And we just want to make sure that that's equitable and allows other people to be able to live in all areas of town. So I still think it's the communication side of it, and there's a couple of different pieces to it. When you start off as a mayor or a town council person or a commissioner or committee member with the town, there's not an onboarding process. So I think setting that up, setting the expectations, providing the materials, making sure people are trained, and then also working together. I feel like we all work very isolated. So everybody's meeting separately. There should be times, and we do this for the budget cycle, but I feel like it should happen more often, where we're talking together about town strategic goals so that every person that's involved with the town buys into it and we're all working to the same plan. When we're working separately, it's a lot of work, but it's not all, functional and working and making us drive forward. And it's not like we have a lot of fantastic volunteers. I mean, those committee and commission positions are all volunteer. It's a lot of work. It can be a lot of political pressure. So, but I do think that there are times where the resources have not always been provided. We have been doing more training with the different groups and things like that. But I just would like to see it planned out and also done in some way that's more strategic, where we're working more together on it. And then I think getting information out to residents is a big part of that. We started a ticketing system. There have been complaints, and they're totally valid, and we are working on a solution. But you put in a ticket, you don't get a confirmation that it went through, and then the follow-up system is not really something that we've worked through and set up. And I think it's something we need to fix internally, figure out, how do we prioritize requests? Can we meet the requests? Do we have the capacity? And then communicating out to the people that requested it with a schedule, when it was completed, and everything that goes along with it. I also see a lot of complaints where something didn't happen in the timeline somebody thought that should. We get so many requests, whether it's the police, the town office, the grounds crew, water and sewer. And I think people just don't understand the magnitude of it. We've got a very outspoken group of residents, which is great, but there is a limit to the capacity of a small town and the group of people that we have for staffing. So I think being really clear about the town's capacity and making sure that people are treated equally is really important. I think one thing is this is a beautiful historic town, and it can still modernize. We can use smart growth. We don't have to be the same town we were 10 years ago, 50 years ago. And there's this fear, but I think if we had more civic engagement, if we were able to do more outreach and get more buy-in from the public, we could see how this town could grow and still keep its character and its integrity. I think for me, I just want the role of the mayor to be a more friendly and public position. I want to be a recognizable figure on the street that people feel like they know who I am. They can come up to me, they can talk to me about anything that they want to. I want our town meetings to function the same way, where people feel like they are welcome to come, they understand the process, they feel like they're heard. I'm an outgoing person, I love the town, and I just want to sort of buy into that and be a bigger part of that. And I want to see some change, and I want to be part of it.